And welcome to another Domo live stream. We have had quite the calendar here in the Domo community. I'm Eddie Small, Director of Community Strategy here at Domo, and we are starting a brand new series. And what better way to kick things off than talking about AI? These are our technical adoption program series here with Dan Hendriksen and Riley Morgan, both on the product enablement, technical adoption teams, here to really dive in to some of these really cool AI services and AI readiness tools that we've launched over the past several weeks. This is a deep dive, a little bit deeper on kind of the step-by-steps, the how to actually use the product and walk you through some potential on using these in your organization. So thank you everybody for joining us on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Twitter X, and through our registration page. Obviously, we want you to get as much value out of this session as possible. And the only way to do that is to do what Dan did right off the bat, and that's to use the comments and chat section. Dan Hendriksen is my favorite Domo employee.
Love you, Dan.
I feel like that's Dan on Dan love there. We've got two Dans. They both love each other. And don't tell Keith, apparently. That's something we must keep secret.
Keith knows.
Here on these chats. Dan, obviously, it's always a pleasure to have you and your team on these community live streams and these events that we do throughout Domo. But I got to say, I'm more excited about, what AI has in store for us as a product than some of the other things that have come down over the last several months. Not that I don't love it all, but AI is exciting, but it's also pretty buzzwordy. So talk to me a little bit about what you guys are going to go over today. I'm super excited and thrilled to also be joined by Riley Morgan, our technical adoption engineer, that will be assisting you in this effort today.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, Eddie. Good to be here. Like Eddie said, you're gonna hear from us a lot moving forward with this technical adoption program. So I think we might even be coming at you with a different topic tomorrow. So we got lots that we're gonna share with you. But let me share out my screen here. And
Dan, while you're doing that, I want to make sure that Keith gets his last word. Dan Kivlin is Dan H's alter ego. So it sounds like you may be gallivanting as another Dan on our live stream.
Yeah, who knows? We'll get all that sorted out later. I've got to real quickly fix a setting here. Sorry, I switched browsers and it's making me plug something in before I can share my screen here.
No worries. Riley and I can vamp. Riley, tell us a little bit about what you've got in store for us today. Maybe a little overview, a little tease, as they say in the business, for our audience that's waiting for Dan to switch over some permissions.
Yeah, super excited, Eddie. We're going to be taking a Domo dashboard that we've had in our instance for years now. We're going to be converting that into a new App Studio app using some of the new tool set there, and then we're going to add some AI readiness and use the AI chat to ask some live questions. So super excited to use a couple of the new features that have been promoted this year.
Yeah, that's awesome. We are going to dive into a little AI chat. We did a session yesterday with AWS that was very technical. We got into the weeds on what the Amazon Bedrock has done for us, what we are doing specifically in the AI chat space. Obviously, the sizzle reel that we played earlier, kind of what we're doing with that AI chat. It was really, really cool. I'm going to be sharing all of the links and resources to all of our AI content, including I believe we're on 7 AI Insight Series events that we've done over the live stream, that we've done on the community. I'll include all of those in the comments and chat section. So wherever you're joining, you're going to have access to that. Welcome back, Dan, as he's setting those permissions. But I will share all of those links with you. So we have the AI Readiness Guide. We have the AI Insight Series, the session we did yesterday. I will give you a ton of links throughout this presentation to hopefully get you where you need to go and get you ready for whatever the next step is past this session. Danny had a question here from Facebook. Danny, thank you for joining us. Just so you know, all of our sessions, anytime we go live through Domo, whether it be on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. You'll be able to watch that exactly where you found it. So if you were stumbled upon our StreamYard registration page and you registered for the event, and you're watching on that registration page, as soon as this event is over, you'll be able to refresh the page and the recording will be live. Same thing for Facebook, same thing for LinkedIn, same thing for YouTube. So all of the content that we've done has been recorded and always lives in all of those social channels. Yesterday's live stream available. Yes, Mark, our very good friend from the community, Mark Snodgrass. He is an absolute stellar coach and innovator here at Domo. Our live streams, again, are always available in that exact same link. I will share all of that through a resource link shortly. So, Dan, where are we at? We close?
You'd think that we hadn't done this 5 minutes ago and confirmed that it works, and of course, the gods are fighting us here. I don't know. You're still not able to see it?
I've not seen your share screen yet. Let's have John Lee ask. In the meantime, will you play some guitar with us?
John.
For all the time he saves with Domo AI.
John, you're killing me, man.
He's the best. He's the best. John Lee, obviously, a good friend as well.
We're going to try this one more time. I'll be right back. I don't know what in the world's going on.
Let's see you in a few. He may have to restart his computer, Riley. That's what it sounds like, right? That's the old SNL skit. Have you tried to turn it off and turn it back on again?
You know, always a good place to start right there.
That's the beauty of doing these live. It is the absolute beauty of being live on these streams. And it's not like Dan hasn't done these before. So we can't blame Dan. He's been always on it. I don't necessarily know if we've had any technical difficulties before, but he'll come right in and we'll be ready to go. I'm absolutely certain of it. All right, here's his chance. Drum roll.
All right, let's see if this works. It won't let me look at the right camera here, which is fun. So you might look at the side of my head while we do this, but
that's okay. We love the background, at least. It's beautiful back there. Sounds like a fresh Utah day.
Yeah, we're starting to get some weather. Are you able to see that? Is it working?
We did it. Ladies and gentlemen.
That only took 10 minutes. Sorry,
only
about
9
that.
minutes in.
I don't know what happened there, but we'll make the most of it. So, hey, appreciate you guys being here with us. Sorry about the technical difficulties. You should all give me a really hard time about that next time I see you, because that was a little embarrassing. But today we're going to talk about how to leverage Domo's new AI chat and readiness tools to enhance your Domo experience. Super excited about what we've got here. And let's bounce to the next one. Okay, so the agenda, what we're going to talk through. Why use Domo AI, right? If you're like me, AI has been a part of your workflow or your daily process flow for a long time. I feel like I was a fairly early adopter there. And up until recently, that didn't involve Domo. So we'll talk through why use Domo's AI. We're going to do an in-depth follow-along demonstration. We're going to look at the two new tools that we released, the AI chat and AI readiness tools. We're going to actually build an AI-powered app. So Riley's going to run through, we're going to build a new app. We're going to take an existing dashboard we have, like he hit on. We're going to move that into an AI-powered app, and we're going to build a new one from scratch. And we're going to go over some FAQs. So as you guys so graciously helped fill the time while I figured out how to use my computer. If you've got questions, keep them coming as we run through this thing. I would love to hear from you. You don't need to wait for those FAQs, but we'll have some of those there at the end. So by way of introduction, real quickly, I'm Dan Hendriksen. I am the Director of Product Enablement here at Domo, and I'm joined by my colleague, Riley Morgan. Riley is a technical adoption engineer, and I'm super excited that he's here with us today. And he's going to be the one actually running through the product with you. So let's talk about why should I use Domo AI, right? If you're like me, again, you've been using AI for a long time. I've been using it in a lot of different mediums for several years. And, you know, like I said, it has involved Domo up to this point. So there's a few reasons why you should leverage Domo's AI and why I think it's important to you. One is data, right? As an early adopter of AI, I've found the largest difficulty that I've experienced is giving the appropriate AI all the context around what I'm trying to accomplish, right? this is already contextually aware, right? All your data is here. It's in one place. It's cleansed. It's brought together, and it's automatically used as context for whatever interaction you're having with our AI tools, right? So having your data there and having it have that knowledge is a big deal. This is a huge leg up, and you'll see that today. It's secure, right? I run into companies all the time that they're not allowed to use several of the common AI tools because of privacy concerns. And, you know, I read an article one time about a company that had a press release checked for grammar by one of the AI tools, and now all of a sudden, all the details in that press release were out there, and it's part of these public model trainings. We don't do any of that, right? Whether you're already using Domo or you're evaluating Domo, you understand that security is important to us. It's a big deal, and everything, all your interactions, all the data that you share with the AI stays right in your Domo instance. So that's a really, really big deal. Everything stays private, and you should understand that. So all the compliance things that you know and love about Domo stand true for Domo AI. And then it's agentic, right? Agentic is a term that's fairly new to me, agentic AI. But essentially what it means is that it's familiar with and understands the Domo platform just like you, the Domo experts, do, right? If someone comes to you inside of your organization and they ask you a question that relies on data, you know the process that you need to go through, right? You need to figure out what data set it is, and you need to figure out which columns are appropriate to use and whether they're summed or averaged, what filters you need to apply. It understands all that and knows those steps. That agentic, we're going to get to that in a little bit more detail, but really we're just scratching the surface, means that it builds a process plan and it executes on it, right? So that's an important thing to understand, and it takes the output of that process plan and it validates it against the question that you asked, and continues to improve over time. So it's agentic, it's built in, it's everywhere you go inside of the Domo platform. You don't need to look for it any further than the top navigation bar. So a few key reasons there, and I think you'll find a lot more as we run through it. But let's talk about AI chats. Like I mentioned, it's agentic. It's designed to help you gather instant insights from your data. And we're going to show you some examples of that today, how you can ask questions on your data and get those answers immediately, faster than you can build a card or even apply some filters to a card. It's very user-friendly, so it's designed for anybody inside your organization to be able to use and interact with natural language, right? Not any special syntax or knowledge you need to have other than just be in Domo and talk to it just like you'd talk to a colleague. And it's contextually aware and configurable. So as you'll see as we go through the demo, if you're looking at a dashboard, it's going to assume that you're asking questions of data, cards, and data sets that power that dashboard, right? If you're on a data set, it'll assume you're looking at that data set, so on and so forth. And that is configurable. So we'll show you what that looks like, but you can point it to different things. And then let's talk about real quickly AI readiness. This is very cool. Your data is your data, and the AI is really smart. So it'll make inferences, but it's not always going to get them right? You have a lot of context and understanding of what lives inside of your data, right? And this allows you to put an AI dictionary on top of your data and explain contextually what the data sets are used for, what the values and all of the columns are leveraged for. You can even do things like synonyms, right? I was with a customer a couple of weeks ago that had some Shopify data, and the order numbers were in the name column, right? Who would have thought that? AI readiness allows for things like that and allows you to layer a dictionary on top of that to just give the AI that much more context than it already has and get that much more meaningful of responses. So with all that said and out of the way, I would like to hand it over to Riley. Riley is going to do a product demo. Riley, we were talking about the back to school sale for Gadget. Why don't we show these guys how we'd go answer that question in an AI powered world?
Yeah, thanks, Dan. And yeah, excited to show kind of the real life scenario and using the AI readiness tool and AI chat. And so here at Gadget, we really pride ourselves on being a data-driven organization. We've been Domo users for years now, and we have dashboards for marketing, store performance, product performance. But to your question, around analyzing, a back to school sale, we have this store summary dashboard that's been used for years. And just like any regular dashboard, to answer your question, I could come down here and I could scroll through, Domo cards and try to look back historically at the back to school season months. I could use Domo cards to look at, the top performing products and apply filters. And that might take a minute or so. But what's really cool is now with that AI chat tool, I can open this up anywhere inside of Domo and just ask my question here to the chat. And what I'll type in here is, what were our top performing products during the back to school season this year? And with that contextual context of where I'm at, when I hit enter, our AI chat is going to go through that agentic process that Dan was talking about. And it's going to try to locate the data set. It identifies the source that it's going to use to answer that question. And then it's going to go through that same process that we would if we were building that chart. It's going to query the data, and it's going to generate the chart type here. I'm just going to,
of course. Of course, it gets angry with us when we're live.
But I mean, this is AI. Whether you're using it inside of Domo or in a different context, AI will never be the same every time you submit it. And so here I hit that retry button, and it goes back. It tries to requery, and we get a great response. It goes back and it fixes that mistake. We've got our top performing products during the back to school season. And here we've got a nice chart looking at our total revenue in this view here.
Now, that's awesome. It did good, right? We've got our 10 products there, and we can see revenue. It's sorted appropriately. Now, Riley, if your dashboard is like a lot of the ones I've seen and a lot of the ones I own, you've got a ton of cards and data sets that power that. And like we saw, it's not always going to get things right. Or maybe I'm looking at our products page. It doesn't even have any revenue information, but I want to ask it about some sales. Can you show these guys how we can configure the AI agent to make sure that it's looking at the information we want it to?
Yeah, absolutely. So inside the AI chat, we have this ability to open up a focus section here. And if I expand this up so we can see the full screen here, you'll notice that I can have the chat off to the left, but off to the right, this is where it's showing the contextually awareness of the AI chat. And so in my dashboard, I am connected to all these different cards that are seen in the dashboard and all the different data sets used to produce those cards. But I might have a question, like Dan said, that I know is going to be answered by one data set. I don't want it to try to search and answer it by a different data set. And if that's the case, I can come in here and click on which cards I want it to refer to when trying to populate that answer to get a more focused lens on what it should use to populate that.
Now, Riley, yeah, you can even add sources that aren't here local to this page, right? We could say we're on that product page and we want to ask it about revenue. You could point it to the sales data set or something.
Yeah, absolutely. And down there at the bottom right where it says add data set, I can come in here, I can search any data set in my Domo instance. So if I'm on a sales dashboard and I want to cross-analyze that with a marketing data set, I can come in here and search and add that to my focus so that I can ask questions back and forth between different categories or different data sets, all in this one thread here.
Yeah, I love the ability to be able to refine its focus. Like I said, I've been really impressed with how often it gets it right, even without any of the AI readiness stuff, just all the inferences it makes. But that ability to go in and add focus, I think is very cool. Now, Riley, we talked about my cluttered dashboard that's powered by a ton of data sets. Dashboards are so 2023, right? What we talked about building an AI powered app. Why don't we take a minute and show these guys how we can use this opportunity to kind of streamline our experience and get it in App Studio?
Yeah, that's right, Dan. You might see, a couple bricks on this page, one up here for navigation. Like I said, Gadget's been using Domo for years now, and App Studio wasn't a thing. And so they had to find workarounds for creating a nice user experience. But those are days of the past. Now we have our App Studio tool inside of Domo. And we're going to take that dashboard that we've used for a long time, and we're just going to create a new app here. And I could customize a theme specific to my organization. But I'm just going to use one of the Domo pre-built themes here. And I'm going to use off to the left the nav bar here to give my app a name. So I'm going to say Store Performance. And now, instead of having to build an App Studio app from scratch, I can save a bunch of time by using this import tool. And I can find the dashboard that we've been using and import that directly into my App Studio app that I've created here. And so I'm going to come here. I'm going to edit the page name. If I wanted to, I could duplicate cards. And that way, if I make changes in the App Studio app, they don't reflect in the old dashboard. And then I can select what content I want to bring over. And so I was using a navigation brick to help with navigation. I don't need that anymore. So I can start to get rid of some note cards that I don't need. If I can find that navigation brick in here.
It's a couple above right there, Gadget nav bar down at the bottom.
There we go. It's hiding from me. And we'll say that's good enough. The rest of the cards I want to use, I'm going to import this dashboard. And what's nice about it is I'm going to go to this page, but it's going to keep the organization that I had in my dashboard. So I don't have to redesign this. I can now go in here and remove some content that I don't want, get rid of that blank space. And I'll click save
kept
here.
Your layout and everything, pulled it in nice and slick, and you've got your AI capabilities in here as well, right? So just by cleaning it up and streamlining everything the way that we do via App Studio, right? That alone is gonna get your focus tightened up a bunch.
That's right. So now instead of all those different data sets, it can focus in on just the data sets that are used in here, and I can go through and ask and use the AI chat just like I was leveraging, but in a more confined and focused environment without the distraction of everything else inside of Domo.
So Riley, let's start a new chat here in our app, and let's get back to figuring out if we want to run that back to school promo again. Let's see what our top performing products were again. We're thinking about the promo. We're thinking about our purchasing, and let's see what we got here.
Yeah, so new chat, just put in that same question again. It's going to go through those same steps of identifying the correct data set, generating that chart type, and we'll see it pop up right down here, organized from highest to lowest, and this is looking great.
Hey Riley, can you make that a little bigger?
Yeah.
So I love that, right? We got it even improved from last time, right? It shows a better chart type. I like it. But it says Q3 2023. We asked it about back to school. How do we even know what dates it used?
Yeah, that's a great question, Dan. And that's one of the nice things about AI being used inside of Domo is with all of our AI tools, we give kind of the behind the scenes of what's happening so that there's a human in the loop process. We're not just providing those answers without the context of what are the steps that are going on behind the scenes to produce that. And so if we open up the controls here, we can see the two columns that we're using are product name and sales amount. But we can also see the filters that are being used in order to find the right data to present in this chart.
So it's just assumed, it's just made an assumption that back to school is July, August, and September. And we did mention this year, so it chose this year. But our back to school sale just runs for that that tight 3 or 4 week period in late August and early September. So this is where that AI readiness comes in, right? How do we go? Obviously, we could adjust the filter here, right? We don't want to do that. Why don't we show them how we can go use that AI readiness to give it a little bit more context around our data?
Yeah. And this is a great point, right? It made a great inference of when we would expect the back to school season. And like Dan said, we could come in and change this right here. But what we'll do instead is let's open up our gadget store performance data set. I'm just going to exit out of the chat here. And by clicking on that, it will bring me directly to the data set and specifically the AI readiness tab in our data center.
Now, real quick, this AI readiness tab, we're in the data center. Obviously, we got overview, data cards, lineage, all the tabs that we've been familiar with forever. But this AI readiness tab, this exists on every data set that you've got in Domo. And not only is it there for you to configure, but as you can see there in the top, it's showing you some information around how AI ready your data is, right?
That's right. So every data set's going to have its own score. You might have noticed when we opened up the AI chat, there was a little warning message that let us know that the data set that we're using was not prepared very well or didn't have a great score. And so it just wanted to let us know that because of that, we might not get the most accurate responses. Obviously, it did a great job with low AI readiness to bring back really good information. But that warning's there for a reason. And so we'll have the ability to check how AI ready this is based on the work we do in this AI readiness tab. And then it tells us what things go into AI readiness. So what columns are enabled, context, synonyms, beast modes, and we'll dive into that in just a second here.
So Riley, we've got a couple of things going on, right? I can see we've got data set context, and then we've got this section below about columns. So let's talk real quick about the data set context. Let's show these guys what that's all about and when they'll want to leverage that.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to edit our AI readiness for this data set. And I'm going to add a data set dictionary here. And I have a description in here, or I'll type one in here. But what this dictionary or this data set dictionary is going to be able to provide is just context as to what data is in this data set. And when might the AI chat want to use this data set over another one that might be on a dashboard?
Got it. So this is all centered around making the AI chat aware of what content. So it's not inferring everything. It knows that this data set is related to transactional history and sales of products, so that as it's determining which data set to use, it knows which is the right one, which is very cool. So after we get the context on the data set, right? Let's talk about the columns, right? We've told it that the data set includes sales and transaction information, but we've all been part of those meetings where a DBA meticulously explains to everybody which column to look to for what information. How can we give context around what's in each of those columns?
Yeah, that's a great point, Dan. And what we have is the ability to come in here and add AI ready columns that we want to use inside of our AI chat and inside of Domo. And so here I can, oh, sorry, go for it, Dan.
No, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, so in here we can go through and we can add the different columns that we want to be used to answer questions inside of the AI chat. And so for instance, in our recent question that we were asking, we wanted to have a date that we reference we wanted to know our sales amount over time, right? And so we can go through and we can either add all columns, we can hand select what columns we want to make AI ready, but the ones that we select are going to be used and prioritized in our AI chat as ones that it'll use to answer those questions and build those chart types.
I think that's an important thing to understand, Riley, if you want to go through and get some of those enabled. When we start to give it context on columns, the AI is only going to use the columns that you've selected to be AI ready. So Riley's going to go through and select some that he knows we're going to want to talk about. You're going to want to spend a little bit of time here. We all have columns like that, batch ID and batch last run, that we know nobody's going to ask any questions, traffic seed, open date, offset. But you do want to be fairly inclusive in what you allow here. You want to make sure that we're covering the bases of what our users are going to want to ask of the AI without overloading it with so much irrelevant context that it's just back to making a ton of inferences. So we got some columns there, right, Riley? We'll go ahead and add those. And now we can go in and give a description for each.
That's right. So now that I've added those columns, we'll see that underneath in our AI enabled columns, we have all those data or all those columns that we just clicked on. And you also notice that as we went through and started to add our columns, our AI readiness score has increased, and we're now in this green. And so just by a couple steps of that dataset dictionary and selecting some columns, we've already improved our AI readiness score, and so we can feel more confident about the use of AI chat inside of Domo. But
yeah, I love that. So let's give it a little bit of context, right? We talked about our back to school sale. Let's give it a little bit of context. And while you do that, let's hit on synonyms here really quick too. So one thing why Riley puts a description in here or some context around the transaction date. Your data is your data, right? And while the AI can make inferences based on the context you provide and the column name, the reality is people talk about things differently. I was with a customer a couple of months ago, and there was a little bit of confusion on my part. As one person was calling it a ticket ID and another a transaction ID, right? So little things like that are not super straightforward. Or the example where the order number was in a column called name, right? This allows you to be very thoughtful in the synonyms that you put on each column, so that as the different users and different personas throughout your organization interface with the AI, it understands exactly what it is that you're referring to. So that's something that you're going to want to spend a little bit of brain power on as well.
Yeah, and so what I've gone and done in this column for the transaction date is I just added 2 more synonyms for the date and purchase date, which might be referred to as people just ask regular questions with their, the language that they use on a regular basis. And then if you remember back to that question we asked to the AI chat, it made the inference as to when our back to school season was. And so I wanted just to add some quick context that said, our back to school season is the 3rd week of August through the 2nd week of September. I also made a note in here for another sale that we have coming up. And so if a user refers to Black Friday, they know that sale is is the last Friday of November. And so you can come in here and add that context for each column. I'm going to save here, and you'll notice that as I do that, our column dictionary is seen below here as well.
So Riley, with that added context and that AI readiness, let's jump back in our app. Let's ask it about top performing products during back to school, and let's see what we get here.
Yeah. So I'm going to open up that chat, and I'm going to create a new chat here. And we'll ask
hey, look, you can see it gave us a green check mark there, right? I don't know if you noticed before, but we had a little exclamation point that our data sets were not AI ready. So your users, as they come in, can have full confidence that somebody knowledgeable with the schema has come in and plugged some context in there.
Yeah, that's a great shout out there. And so we're going to ask that same question that we've been sending through. What were our top performing products during the back to school season this year? Once again, finding that data set, it's going to be creating that chart. But now with the AI context that we saved, or that column context that we saved, we will expect to get a more detailed response with the dates that we've mentioned below. And so here we have information on each of those products. And then if we show the chart here, we'll see that our transaction date, instead of being all 3 months, it actually goes through and picks the time period that we put in that column context, which is awesome.
It tightened it down based on that context, which is cool. This one even noticed here that it was dominated by those two brands and added a series for brand, which is very cool. Now, Riley, we were talking about the promos that we wanted to run. Can we ask this thing follow-on questions, right? What if we want to know which of those were on sale?
Right. So let's go in here and we'll ask, how much of our sales amount during the back to school season we're using the back to school promo code. And so we've got a column in our data set that has all the different promotional codes that are used during a purchase. If it wasn't a promotional sale, the code will be 999. If it is the back to school, it's going to be 234 or whatever that promotional ID is in that data set.
Now it doesn't know that, right? So our total promo sales is this another situation where we want to give it some context? Is that right?
That's right. And you'll see that it found the right column and it really tried, but once again, because it doesn't know how to identify those values that we assume inside of our organization as common knowledge, it just produces a null value there.
Now, why Riley goes in and puts some context there, I'll brag on this thing for just a little bit, and I'll tell you guys, we had to modify this data a little bit. We had his promo was ones and zeros, and it actually got it right. So we even changed it to ones and twos. It inferred that one was true and zero was false, and it still got it right. So we went in and put all sorts of garbage in there in the promo code to more similarly represent all the different promo codes that might exist for an organization. But I was really shocked with how it did it the first time, just using the ones and zeros.
Yeah, it was too good the first time, so we had to try to make it a little bit more complex. And so here, added some synonyms once again, just because I was editing it, want to throw in some other terminology that might be used, and then added the context of our back to school promotion code. So I'll save that. We'll see our AI readiness score adjust. And now if I go back to this, and I'll just use that same question here, I'm going to create a new chat and ask that same question. How much of our sales amount during the back to school season we're using the back to school promo? And now with that context, it should be able to encode or decode that data inside of our data set.
I love that. And I like how you can kind of see the steps it's going through. We'll show you a really good example of that here in just a minute as well. But you can actually view the details and see the queries and all of that. But let's look at what chart we got. Hey, so it understood code 234.
Yeah, and it's going to produce that chart down here, but we'll see that it summarizes quickly and does a quick aggregation on the total sales during that time with that promo code 234. So once again, even adding the description and context back in our answer so that we know that it interpreted it correctly and that the answer that we're getting is going to be accurate with what we're expecting.
And that context, that dictionary, that AI dictionary that we add, it's there for everybody, right? So this is a one-time thing, going in and setting up those contexts, and every user inside your Domo environment will benefit from that. So I think we concluded we want to run the back to school promo again, right? It's been a success, and Riley, I appreciate you walking us through getting that pulled into App Studio, going through and configuring the AI readiness to get all the appropriate contexts. But I'm sure we got people on here that haven't been using Domo for 5 years, like Gadget has, right? What if I'm a brand new Domo user and I'm looking at this blank slate of what do I do? Or maybe I just connected to a new web analytics tool or a new data source, and I've got this data set and I don't even necessarily know what I want to know from it. Can the thing help me just starting from scratch?
It is impressive with how I can do that. And so if I go to a data set that I have connected inside of Domo, and we can imagine we don't have that dashboard built out already, in the overview page, I can go to our Domo AI component here, and I can create an App Studio app like we did in the beginning. And instead of importing all that content that we already had pre-built, I can just ask Domo AI a question of what I want it to build. Or if I don't even know what data is in there or what I want it to build, I can send through a blank prompt and just have it build whatever it thinks would be most useful based on the schema and the information that we have available.
Ooh, let's try that.
So I'm going to send just a blank question here, and we're just going to see it produce a bunch of different cards that it thinks will be relevant to me. And what's great about this process is that as it does this, you'll see that agentic nature of it showing where it's at in that process. So it's querying for data permissions. It's grabbing the data set, validating PDP, all of those things for the security standpoint. And then it's even doing things like grabbing data science and looking for key metrics that would take us a long time to do that by hand. And it's writing all this out with key insights as it's doing this, so we can see step by step what's being produced, what it's thinking through as it produces this. And then in a second, we're going to see all these different charts that are organized by category, built out in seconds here.
Oh man, so it's going through. It's even creating them categorically. It's got all sorts of different chart types on there. How many is it going to build, Riley?
19 in a matter of a few minutes here.
Oh man, that's awesome. So we got 19 charts now. What if going through there, I can select some and not some, right? Like maybe I don't like that promotional versus non-promotional, right? You can kind of tell it which ones you like.
Exactly. So I can go through and deselect any charts that I don't think will be useful. If there was a topic, here it created a bunch of categories or topics that it produced cards for. If there was one that it missed and I wanted to ask another question and have it generate more cards, I could, add to this and ask another question to Domo AI and have it add on to those original 19 cards, and really just do, ask a couple of different questions and have this really organized, built-out dashboard ready for me.
So it looks like I got a couple of buttons down there. I can make a dashboard, or it'll build an app for me.
Yeah, it will organize this all into a really clean branded app. Let's do that.
All right, so it's we can see up in that top right corner, it's actually saving all those cards, right? And I love it does all the stuff that I don't think to do, like put really meaningful descriptions on the cards and really well thought out titles. It's categorizing them, and look at that. It's even going to put it in here and give it a logical layout. I love it.
That's right. And then just like any App Studio app, I can add on to this. I can edit it. Maybe this is a great launching point, and then I can come back through and start to edit these cards or these dashboards, add additional pages. But man, there's no way I could build a dashboard this quickly and this many cards. it's really impressive what it's able to do here. And I can click save, and there we have it.
I like that it did it, and I like that it labeled everything Domo AI, right? So you know that hey, it's really good, but it was made by the computer, right? So the old trust but verify phrase that we've all gotten to be so familiar with.
That's right.
Riley, thank you so much for taking the time to walk us through that. Hopefully that was insightful. I'm going to jump back to this PowerPoint for just a moment here. We'll kind of wrap things up. But in conclusion, two asks I've got for all you Domo users on the call. Get AI chat enabled for your users. It's on, it's there, it's for everybody. But there are some grants specific to it. So go in, get that enabled, make sure that your audience has got the ability to access it and leverage it, because I promise you, they are going to love it. And get your data sets AI ready. If you're a data set owner, if you're a major Domo, encourage those data set owners, the people that are familiar with the data, to go in and add that context, right? Get the context. So just like we saw in that example that Riley went through, users are getting exactly what they want, fewer inferences, and get in there and get your data sets AI enabled. So we had some questions come up in the chat. We tried to address those along the way. If there are any outstanding, feel free to ask. But a couple of FAQs that we get, I wanted to address for you. Will my data and questions be used to train public models? Like we said earlier, no, I can't drive this point home hard enough. All of your data and all of your interactions with Domo's AI stay in your Domo instance. So you can know that that information isn't going out on the wire, so to speak. Do you have to use AI readiness to get good responses? As you saw, right, Riley got a really great response to his first question with absolutely no AI readiness. As we started to layer in some more complexity around the back to school promo, the AI readiness really helped, but certainly is not necessary. So don't use taking time to get your data sets AI ready as a reason to delay enabling AI chat. It's certainly not a requirement. And then one other one that comes up from time to time is, can you change the model that Domo is using for AI chat? If you had a keen eye, you notice there at the top of the AI chat, it's powered by Domo GPT. That's the default model. That's the one that we've built and baked in. But you can configure it to use any AI model that's available in the newly released AI admin. You can make different models available. So maybe you've gone long on the IBM tech stack and you want to use Watson X and Granite, right? Those are configurations that you can make available to power your AI chat experiences. So unless we've got any other questions, we got any other questions, Eddie? No, it doesn't look like it.
No, we haven't had anything come through yet. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. Yeah, nothing come through yet. I've been monitoring the chat. Looks pretty good. We were answering a lot of those on the fly. What else we got? Are we wrapping up here? As we're wrapping up, if you have any comments or questions, please throw those in the chat so we can get those to Dan and Riley. This is part of a massive resurgence of community content and all these events that we're doing. If you're not already, do some shameless plug, right? For the community forums, make sure you head over there, go to our events page. You can see all of these events that we're going to be doing over the next several days, including tomorrow, as I'll throw that link in the chat. Dan will be back to talk his favorite Domo feature, workflows, App Studio, Task Center, and Forms. Lots of really cool ideas and really step-by-steps and how-tos that are happening in this technical adoption program. John Lee, can I train Domo AI to learn my style of dashboard app design?
You know, John, that's actually, I don't know the answer to that definitively. I know that you can give it feedback on there and it'll take that and it'll get better. And it is constantly learning and evaluating the content that you've got in there. So I would expect that it'll start to recognize things like hero metrics being at the top, and some of those layouts, but I'm not aware of the ability to explicitly train it a certain way just yet. But keep that feedback coming.
The man inside the machine, John Lee. Mark Snodgrass asked, do you have the ability to exclude data sets from the AI chat, even if they're being used on a dashboard? For example, one data set may be used for just a single value and not used for the AI chat.
Yeah, absolutely. So the focus that you saw Riley leverage there kind of early on is used in two ways. One is to narrow it down, like you're mentioning, this to say, hey, ignore these 4 data sets on this dashboard and only look at this one, as well as to broaden it, right? If we may be looking at a dashboard that isn't really got the data behind it to answer the question we're asking. Lots of reasons why that could be. We could be looking at inventory and we want to understand sales, for example, right? So you can point it to, you can broaden its focus or its scope to look at other data sets as well. But yeah, Mark, you would do that through the focus.
Nicholas asks, can I specify the data set that should be referenced in each page?
Yeah, so it's you're going to do that same thing through that focus setting, right? So by going in and tightening down that focus is how you're going to accomplish that. By default, it's going to use all the local sources.
Awesome. And finally, the question we usually get asked the most, will this video be available? Yes, 100% after the session, wherever you found us, Maura, whether you found us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or you've shown up on our StreamYard registration page, the video will be live as soon as the recording is finished. I know that is a little confusing, but we always are available as soon as the stream is concluded. And then we'll have this available on our community. So you can also find it there in our past events page as well. Dan, Riley, thank you guys so much for being here.
Hey, we're back tomorrow. My computer's going to work flawlessly the first time. We'll dry run it twice, not just once, like we did today.
I would normally say something like same bat time, same bat channel, but tomorrow we will be 12 Eastern, 10 a.m. Mountain Time for our technical adoption program series, where we're doing a hands-on App Studio, workflows, and forums. The link is in the chat. Thank you guys again for joining us, wherever you may be joining us. Thank you to Dan. Thank you to Riley and your teams for putting this together. This was awesome. I think a lot of people got a ton of value, and lots of thanks out there. So show your love in the chat, and we will catch you guys tomorrow for our next Technical Adoption Program series live stream. We'll see you then.